Yeah, it should be out now. Okay, so good morning, people in California, Las Vegas, and around the world. This is our Google Apps class at Larson Training Centers. Today we're going to start with Gmail. We're going back to our normally scheduled program. We're going to be doing Gmail. Today's going to be the introduction and setup day. However, before we start that, I want to acknowledge everybody's good work on the email newsletter.
Thank you.
Okay, and I believe what's going to happen is that, let's see, Joe is not in today, right?
Correct.
Okay, so I don't remember, was Kathy somebody, but it seemed that they had set up a second MailChimp account.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So we want Brett's going to send the email list, the list of recipients, to you, Dennis.
Okay.
And then if you guys can send the email out today, the MailChimp out today. Okay? Unless it's already gone out.
You did? Okay. All right, so he's going to send me the list of recipients, and then we'll send them out today.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll wait for his list of recipients.
Now, here's an important thing that's going to happen. MailChimp is pretty good, and what it's going to do is it's going to send an email to that team in LA saying there's a lot of stale, this list hasn't been used for a while, there's going to be a lot of bounce backs, and you should check your list or something like that, but if you want to send it, go ahead and send it. So a large number of people on the list are people who worked at these government agencies a year ago, and there's high turnover. So a lot of the 600 and some are going to bounce. That's okay. What we want to do is get that list of bounces. We'll bring it back here to the main list, and then we'll purge the main list of all of the old accounts.
What list am I doing? The one you just used?
Yeah, it's the 600 and some. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So good job on that, and whoever wants to take part in California in the project creating content, I can promise you that it will absolutely help you in your job search and also getting jobs. Not necessarily the search, but when you're in your interviews, because you can demonstrate that you are competent and thus confident in a skill that all businesses should have, which is better communications with their customers. And MailChimp is a great way to do it. And the skills you learn at MailChimp you can transfer to other cloud-based apps. So good job, everyone. Congratulations. Let's get it finished, then we'll keep it going. And we want to put everyone's name that's working on the project as a list of contributors. So once again, when you're in your interview, you can refer the interviewer to the newsletter that you did, and if they see your name on it, that's going to be good for you. All right? Okay, next, moving forward to today's event.
I got to go back to him.
If you now switch over to today's event, it talks about the Google Plus, the Gmail.
It's this one here.
What is the picture of? Testing to make sure everybody in California is at the right spot. What's the picture of?
Oh, the picture is looks like little apartments or
okay, good.
Something like that.
So good. So that is a motel, about a 20-room motel that was purchased by Tony Hsieh a couple years ago. They immediately board up all the doors and all the windows so people can't get in to steal the copper and other things. And so it looks like doors, but that's the way Tony Hsieh rolls, is they don't just put pieces of plywood or painted pieces of plywood. So they paint doors and windows on the plywood so it looks a lot nicer. Our opportunity is that we are talking to, negotiating with, making plans to get that space and 3 or 4 other motels to have as student dorms. So that is, a huge, great thing that we are in the process of doing. And for the initiative of breaking the chains of recidivism, having food, clothing, and shelter is very important. Last week, now under the heading of everybody's approachable, very approachable in Nevada, because there aren't that many people. There's only 3 million people in the state. So public officials are very approachable. As you know, the U.S. Senator Dean Heller's representative was here. Thursday, Harry Reid's equivalent person will be here. I think it's Thursday. Might be Wednesday, but she'll be here. You know, that isn't possible in California. But also last week, I think it was on Thursday, a trustee, a chairman of the Board of Trustees for Clark County School District was here at the end of the day. She came in about 3. Who saw her? She wears a hat. Linda Young?
Yeah. Yes.
Dr. Linda Young. So she was here to look at what we do. And it's and just an FYI, Clark County School District is one of the 5 largest school districts in the country. They don't have Clark County broken into a lot of different school districts like in San Diego. There might be 20 school districts in San Diego County. In Clark County, there's only 1. I think LA is a very large school district also, one of the largest 5. But anyway, so we are bringing in the Clark County School District to help support the premise that if you want people to be able to break the chains of recidivism, they need to have an education. Linda Young is very much on defending why Clark County, why Nevada schools are so bad. What do you think she says? Because Nevada is at the bottom of the U.S. They're tied for for 50 or for 49.
Low teacher pay?
No, has nothing to do with money.
Maybe
student per teacher.
Exactly. Yeah, that's part of it.
language.
Okay, nope.
English is a second language, maybe.
Nope. Okay, so I'm saying, okay, so let me be clear. I really want to get to what does Dr. Young see the problem as? In other words, the chairman of the Board of Trustees for Clark County School District. It is not money. Nevada is number 49 in the country in education. They're about in the middle in terms of money. If you then factor in the cost of living in Nevada compared to other places, the amount of money spent per student is a lot more relative to the cost of living. So meaning if it's number 23 in amount spent per school, if you factor in, if we have a low cost of living here, like compared to California, it goes higher. So money is not the excuse. It's not about money.
Technology.
And she doesn't say it's about money. And it's not about English as second language.
Is it because of all the casinos here? People
No, it's not about the casinos.
Technology.
It's not about technology, because a lot of the schools here are very new. This is a new, right? 20 years ago, what was Nevada like? They built more new schools in Clark County than anywhere.
Politicians and
No.
legislators to work together.
No.
Curriculum?
No.
Resourcefulness?
No challenge.
Good. 2 points for Jesse. Excellent. Okay. So yeah, it sort of is. Okay, so here's where she comes from. And I said something to her, and she said Maslow's hierarchy. I said our situation, the reason we need to have student housing, a dormitory, is it's too hard for people from Catholic Charities to come here. The average person can't do it. No matter how much in their heart they want to do it, physically it's too hard. Okay? And so she said, you know what, that's the reason why we're so bad here in education, is there are too many kids that have parents that are unemployed and helpless. And she said, I don't care what you do, I don't care how much money you spend, if the kid didn't have food to eat last night, or he couldn't sleep, or his parents were fighting, or he lived in a dangerous area, he can't learn. You have to have stable food, clothing, and shelter before you can learn. So that's what the head of the Clark County School Board, School District Trustees is saying. The problem is we have too many kids that do not have stable food, clothing, and shelter. They don't. They're not safe.
Smoke screen she's putting up to lead us away from what the real.
No, I think that's ultimately the thing, because when only 1 out of 3 people in Las Vegas graduate, not because it's too hard, the curriculum isn't too hard, though it's hard enough. Only 1 out of 3 people eventually graduate because it's too hard to come to school when you have to carry your house with you or whatever. And Salvation Army is great for that. Catholic Charities is great for that. The programs we have with the judges in municipal court, not so great. The other Metro program, is anybody here on the Metro? Rodney, you're here on the other program, right? Right? Yeah, okay. Anybody else in here today? Okay. Kashana's here. Anyone else on that program? Okay, well, you guys deserve a lot of credit, because how many people started here on that? Phyllis and Danielle, how many people signed up?
That day? Oh, 30 something. 30.
And how many actually
Like 4,
no, how many started?
5,
10? 12?
10.
And then out of that, there's so many.
We gave them email accounts.
That was set up.
Now they have
Okay.
email accounts.
Okay, but it's too hard. Is it hard for you to come here, Rodney? You're committed. Krishana, everybody has issues. And so, we're going down the path of student dormitory, give everybody a Chromebook, set it up as like if it was a college campus. Take out the asphalt driveway, make it more like something here in the Learning Village, and have breakfast, dinner, etc.
Wow.
So that's the direction we're going, and the newsletter becomes very important, because the more people who know about that, the better it's going to be for all of us. And then we do have the opportunity to change the system to get it so that the people that are at the bottom have a chance to come up. Yeah, Cedric.
In your heart director, how close do you feel or feel that that's possibly may come to fruition?
Well, see, that starts off bad with the question of saying in your heart, because my first wife said I'm the world's only living heart donor. So it comes down to if the jails really want to change. Okay, if it's lip service, if they really want to change, and if they don't want to change, then if the courts can put enough pressure, because this car is being driven by some of the judges who get this is just a cycle. The people are going to jail, they can't get at work, they go back and they do bad stuff, they go back to jail. It's just a revolving door, as the judges see it. And I'm not finding fault with Metro or the police, because their job is to apprehend people who they observe breaking the law, and then if they're in jail, to keep them from escaping and killing each other. That's their job. Their job isn't to say, what should we do? Okay? That's not their job. So, but it would be good for them to say, yeah, our job would be a lot easier if we didn't have to deal with people who should be on house arrest. And that's the kind of people from the courts that would be living in this, and that's why we're talking about 100 rooms, because that's becomes several hundred people. Okay, becomes several hundred people living there in these places, and that turns out to be several thousand people. And then if it works, and John Johnson isn't here today, but he's working with the city politicians for buildings like this that are in North Las Vegas that are boarded up, about doing the same thing with those. Okay, because that brings in, if you have people, then you can have jobs for other people, like lunch trucks or things for people to have lunch. Anyway, so we've taken about 20 minutes of our class. Today is about Gmail. So we start the Google Apps 8-week cycle, which we repeat twice. We start it with Gmail. And usually when we start something, we go back and we review what are the Google apps that we learned. But since for the last 2 weeks, the previous 2 weeks, we had been talking about all of the Google apps, and we're a little bit behind, we don't need to do that. So we're just going to talk about Gmail. Okay. So Gmail was really the first non-search app that Google did. Does anybody remember when they did it?
What was it?
Gmail was the first non-search app that Google did. Does anybody remember when they did it?
I don't remember.
Okay, around 2005, maybe 2006, and it started out as invitation only. And it was a different way to do email. Okay, why did they do that? Why did they come up with email? Okay, what is the business for people that are in search? What is the fundamental business? In other words, how do they measure? Well, how do they measure how successful they are?
How many people use it?
Number of searches? Number what for successful search?
I mean,
Okay.
people they drive to the.
Okay, it's about eyeballs.
How many people
Okay.
see it?
That's all I was wondering
We were
with
gonna
them.
get that.
Really? You don't? Those don't look like eyeballs to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So it's about eyeballs. Those people are all measured by venture capitalists and other people by how many eyeballs are you capturing. And then it was for how long. So with Google search, they did a very good job about getting people to go to Google to do a search, right? But how long would you stay on Google once you do a search? You find where you want to go, and then you go there. And you might come back to Google 10 times a day, but you're only there for a short period of time. So Google said, okay, we're getting people's eyeballs. We now need them to come back more often and stay longer. It didn't start by selling advertising. It didn't start by saying, how can we sell advertising? It started by saying, how can we get eyeballs? So the key starting point for them was eyeballs. And if you're going to get eyeballs, it's logical to say, well, what are things that people do that we can get them to do on Google? Oh, email. Because by then, most people are doing email for free, right? And what were the big email things in 2005?
Hotmail, AOL.
Well, AOL was going.
Hotmail and AOL were the three big ones still. So Google said, you know what, we're already getting people for search. Because who was the big search company in 2005? Google was in 2005. Yahoo was maybe number 2. And I don't remember what thing was called back then. Well, they've had different names. That isn't important. So the thing is, they were getting people on search. They said, how can we get people to stay longer, come back more often, tell their friends? And they went down the route of email. But they had to do it a little bit differently, right? Because otherwise, if you don't do it differently, why change? So one of the smart things they did is they made it invitation only. What happens when you make things invitation only?
People want to do it.
Yeah, if you get invited, you feel you're special, right? So they made it invitation only. And what else did they do different? What else was different? Okay, it's based upon search. So you don't keep track of all of your emails by putting them in folders. You don't need to have lots of nice little neat folders because they incorporated Google search right into your emails. So you can have an algorithm to easily search your emails. So they had a different approach to email. That was a good thing. And they came out with an email thing that was good. And then they went beyond that a couple years later by having paid accounts. So there's free and paid. And they did a good job on the paid side. They got some big customers out there, and then they went to get everybody else by saying, what? They got some big customers, then they got everybody else by saying what?
It's free.
No. These guys did it. We got these big customers. They've already checked it out. If Southwest Airlines at Stanford University has all of their student emails through Gmail, then you can feel safe and secure that Gmail is good. Okay, that is a thing about human nature of we have a flock mentality. Okay, we're not skeptics. We're not conditioned or we're not genetically programmed to be skeptical. We don't say, well, Stanford did it, it probably sucks, or it doesn't mean anything if Stanford did it. We say, oh, if Stanford did it, it's probably good because they have a lot of people who could spend a lot of time looking for all of the problems. They can spend a lot more time and they're better at figuring out why not to do it. And if they couldn't figure out why not to do it, then the only option that's left is what?
Do it.
To do it. Okay? So now let's remember that when we're on our projects and on our newsletters and on La Voce. If we get somebody good, it makes it easier to get somebody good or not as good because they want to be part of the flock, especially if you make it exclusive. So Keith, that's an important thing to know, is we don't want to go after every restaurant. Chinese restaurants aren't going to fit, and I'm not saying you're doing Chinese, but they won't really fit into the exclusiveness of La Voce if every restaurant can be in there. So there's free and paid. Now, everybody is used to some level of Gmail because we use it here on the free side. And everybody here uses the free Gmail, free Google accounts. Okay. Staff uses paid. That's why my email ends in @gladiusbusinesscorps.com. That's a Gmail account. That's not through GoDaddy or 1&1 or any other hosting service. That is through Google. It's a paid account. It costs $5 per person per month. Okay, so we pay $60 a month for Google, our Google account staff. We pay $60 a month. That gets to be pretty expensive if we were doing that for students here, right? When people are dropping left and right, only the third, we have had over 200 people just here in Nevada enroll in the last 12 months. So it gets to be stupid and kind of kooky to do that for everyone, and it's really not necessary for people who are students. It's not really necessary. We study Google Apps here to take it to the professional level. And which do you think is more of the professional level, the free or paid?
Paid.
Paid, right. So it's important that you have a sense of what paid is, because to hit a home run in your new employer, you want to get them to move to Google paid accounts. So you need to have a little bit of knowledge about paid. Most people, and when I say most, probably 99% of companies have a hosting service that provides email. And it might do a couple other things. Only Google is a hosting service that provides all of the Google apps, and there's probably about 50 of them. If you look at your thing, click on the 9-square grid, and then scroll down to more, and then click even more, you see probably about 50, maybe it's even 60 different Google apps. As a paid account, you have a lot more control over those for your people. And one of the other things you have is you have the way that if somebody loses their phone, because now they're synced into the network, your Google stuff, they're synced into the Google network. If you lose your phone or somebody steals your phone, remotely, the administrator can lock your phone or wipe your phone. And that becomes important for businesses. About 10 years ago, the CEO of Qualcomm left his laptop in his hotel room. People broke into the hotel room to get his laptop.
Wow.
Okay? And it was a big deal. FBI, it was a really big deal. If they had been on Google, you can do two things. Lock it, so just in case you don't know where you put it, it might be in this guy's house. I'm just going to lock it, or you can wipe it.
And that's a basic function of the paid account?
No, it's not the basic, but that's one of the things that it does.
Okay.
But it does a lot more. So what you need to be clear about here and in California is Google has two flavors, free and paid. You can do all of the apps in free, they're just not as good and not as secure. You can't do everything in free that you can do in paid, and you can't do most things as well. Okay, so if it's a pyramid, paid is here. This is free. But in the free, you can learn to use it as professionals. That's what we do, really focus on here, is to learn these things as professionals, not as the typical person who has a Gmail account that doesn't know and doesn't use the features they use. Okay? So, let's talk about those features that we are going to use to make Gmail professional. Who's got one? No, just in Gmail. That's another app that works through Google. Signature. Okay.
This is the free professional.
Yeah, this is free. This is taking the free account and using it as a professional.
Oh.
Events.
Well, that's in calendar. So that would be over here. That would be calendar. That would be integrating.
Okay.
Those are different Google apps.
Okay.
So apps,
Gmail.
and these are features.
Okay.
Creating events. Okay.
No, that's over here in calendar. Okay, so signature is one. Being able to send from other account. Okay, so when you set this up professionally, let's say you go work for Acme Widget Company. They give you your email, Jesse at Acme Widget Company. Okay, and they say, here's how you log on, right? Or they might say, we'll show you how to set this up in Microsoft Outlook. Okay, you familiar with Outlook?
Yes.
Okay, so they say, we'll help you set it up in Outlook, so all you need to do is log on to your Outlook account. And until the last couple of years, if you wanted to log on to Outlook, where would you have to do it from?
From Outlook. Right?
From some machine that you had loaded it on because it wasn't a cloud app.
Yeah.
Okay, you had to load Outlook onto it came with Microsoft Office, you had to configure it, and if you went to your computer, it would synchronize all of your emails, right?
Yep.
Okay. So here, with send from another account, you can set this up so when you send an email, you can send it as Jesse at Acme Widget Company. So you don't have to use Outlook. You don't have to log on to this other mail service, your company's mail service. And you can have it so that those emails are forwarded to your Gmail account. That's what we do here. Everybody that has another account, a project account, That's set up on one-in-one as a forwarding account. So one-in-one, you have like larsongladius.com, right? You at larsongladius.com, right? If someone sends it to you here, to this address, it goes to one-in-one. What does one-in-one do?
It sends it to your.
It forwards it.
To your Gmail.
It forwards it to your Gmail account. So you don't have to log in here and here. Just have to go to your Gmail. And now if you have a cell phone that has Android on it, this is really easy to do. Or you have a tablet that has Android on it, really easy to do. What this does is it enables you to send through your Larson Gladius account, and then it goes out to people. So you create an email with an alias, with this alias here, Jesse at Larson Gladius, you at larsongladius.com. You configure this. You can send an email as that. It sends it to one-in-one, and one-in-one sends it out. What does that mean for you now as a professional person?
That you have access to all your information from the
Okay. Okay, yeah, it does. So what I'm looking for, because we've got a lot to do in a little bit of time, is it enables you to look like a more professional person, right? When you send an email from Ed at Yahoo, what is that called? That's your personal account, right? That's a personal account. If you send it, if I send it as Ed at larsongladius.com, what does that make it look like?
It's professional.
Yeah, I'm in business. I'm employed. I'm not just a guy out there. And so what you really, really, really need to be careful of is when all of these things came out, a lot of people thought they were very clever. So instead of saying John at Gmail or John6209 at Gmail, they started having their business name at gmail.com. Hetzapetsawidgets at gmail.com. Okay, so but in the beginning, in 2007, that was kind of cool, because people would look and say, "Oh, he's one of those people that got a Gmail account." Today, if you're trying to be professional and you send an email out at lavocepublishing at gmail.com, what should a person think in terms of? What manual?
Gmail as his contact.
Yeah, not really professional, right? You're not really professional. But would it be better to say lavoce.publishing at gmail.com, or I say to somebody, well, mine is ed at gmail.com, which would be more professional? Okay, yeah, but only by a little. Okay, but what it really means is you're not a real business. Now, you're a guy who wants people to think you're a business, but you're not a real business, because nowadays there's no reason not to have your own thing. When we do it through one-in-one, it's like $12 a year or $10 a year to have a .com, and that includes 3 email accounts. Okay, so come on, $12 a year.
Oh yeah.
Director, I may be getting a little ahead, but how do we do that?
How do you do what?
How do you set up that?
.com.
How do you set that up so that you're?
That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. But we're talking about what we're going to do. Okay, because when you go to law school, what they teach you is, if you're representing somebody, is you tell the jury what you're going to tell them, you tell them, and then you tell them what you told them. Okay? So in order to get maximum retention from people, I want to point out, here's where we're going. We're going to get Gmail as professionals. Even though we're using the free account, we don't have to use it as a personal account. We want to use the best things and have it as professional as possible. we want to know about the paid account, because when we go to some place and say, I can help you get to the cloud, make a lot more money, at that point, $5 a month is pretty cheap. Okay?
Very
Makes
cheap.
sense.
Meaning they'll switch over and pay.
Right.
But if you don't know about that, and you don't understand that there's two things, the free and the paid, the wheels are going to fall off the wagon before you get to where you want to get, to the destination. Okay? So all businesses, when they start, they can start by doing exactly what we do here. You go work for Acme Widget. You can say, okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to give everybody an account. AWC, Acme Widget Company .bob@gmail.com. That's the first thing we're going to do for every employee here. And then I'm going to go to our hosting service, GoDaddy, and I'm going to set up forwarding accounts for everyone. So if his is bob@acmewidget.com, the second thing we're going to do is we're going to go in, get these set up now to forward to here. So people aren't going to need to use this anymore. Now we just got everybody on Gmail, on the free Gmail. The boss can't complain, no, I don't really want to spend $5. I don't know you, you haven't started, you're getting ahead of yourself. Okay, well, let's do this. Let's get everybody on Gmail. And we do that by giving everybody an account, and then we go into our existing account and we change all of their accounts to forwarding accounts from mailbox accounts.
You can do that from the free side? I
Yeah.
mean, other than the host, other than the
So
host.
then,
Everybody's going to do it here. Okay? So the company just got set up, boom, the very first day, that company now is on Gmail Cloud, the free Gmail Cloud. The third step, so that's step one, that was step two. Step three is you get rid of this, and you get the paid account, and then it's bob@awc.com, but it's through Gmail. It's running on Gmail, not on GoDaddy or one-in-one. That's the third thing that you would do. Okay,
Third
once,
thing is get the pay account.
yeah, to upgrade them to the paid account. That would be the third thing.
And that'll eliminate the host.
with that,
That eliminates this here. That eliminates needing Microsoft Outlook.
GoDaddy or whoever.
Right. Everything now is on the cloud. It's collaborative.
And it's integrated within one working system.
Right.
now the paid, number 3, bob@acmewidgetcompany.com.
Yeah.
That's $5
Per email
Email
address
address.
per month. Okay? It's worth it when you're doing something, when they have confidence and faith and they understand. Now, the person who does this is the webmaster at the business. The person who controls the GoDaddy or the one-in-one account, they have to go in and reconfigure it internally to not, for their email, for their domain, to not go here, but to go to
Yeah.
Google.com. So on step 3, you get rid of this provider
Go to
and
Google.
you have it on Google.
Now, again, going over what you said, is each $5 account has 3, or it just has the 1?
When you sign up for this or GoDaddy, you get 3 email accounts per month.
Mhm.
Okay. The point of that was you don't get taken seriously if you have a thing of Acme Widgets Company at gmail.com.
Right.
You're not taken seriously because if you go get your host, your domain name,
Mhm.
acmewidgets.com, they give you 3 email accounts when you get that name. So in other words, somebody who gets an email from somebody that says acmewidgets.com, acmewidgets@gmail.com, immediately the thought is this guy isn't professional. He doesn't have an email. So when you run across people, so one of the things I have to do is I have to get John Johnson to stop using these things that he's using, that he's been using for many years. You know, progressive Democrats at gmail.com or whatever he uses, Empowerment Now, Empowerment 2010 at gmail.com. Those nowadays have no credibility.
Amateur.
Well, let's just say it's not professional.
Yeah.
Okay? It's just not professional, which by definition is amateur. Okay, but I don't want to put the negative connotation on it. Back then, it was okay when it first came out because that was better than some alternative. Now, you sign up, you get an email, you get a domain name, progressivedemocrats.com. They give you 3 email addresses. So what that says to somebody is, well, you're not, this is a kind of a hobby business. You haven't even invested in a website. I can't take you as seriously as I would as if you did have that. That's all I was trying to get across. What I'm trying to get across to summarize is you have to have an email that has a business name at the end to be taken seriously in business. You use your Yahoo for your personal life. You sign up for a credit card, you use your Yahoo account. I use Yahoo. I use Yahoo just because if I get an email that says Yahoo, I see it, I know that's personal. If it's Gmail, that's business. So I just have that bright line distinction. But you should have one account that you just use for your personal stuff. All your bills, credit cards, magazine subscriptions, personal letters to people, whatever. That is one particular Gmail, email account. I use Yahoo just because for my brain it's a lot easier if I have personal stuff equals Yahoo, business stuff equals Google. Okay? That's how I do it. And that works for me. Okay, now, what are some of the other features over here?
Well, we already talked about Google Plus.
No, we're just talking about Gmail. That's a different app.
Okay.
So Google Plus would be on this side.
All right.
What we're saying is, what I'm asking is, what are the features of Gmail that you can use to make it professional? Okay, again, that's a calendar thing, yeah, but that ties in a different event. So what I'm saying is, so one example, the first one that came up was signature. Okay, and there's a related thing called vacation mode. I don't like it, it's just too much work for me, but it's good for a lot of people. Okay, what is vacation mode?
Oh, it just,
What is vacation mode?
anytime somebody sends you an email, it says that you are unavailable for a certain amount.
Okay, it immediately, it's an auto response.
Yeah.
Okay, Father Max uses that a lot because he travels a lot. And he doesn't carry a laptop and things around with him. So he uses vacation mode a lot. So somebody sends him an email, they get an immediate reply. I'm out of town until the 10th. Okay, I don't use it, but that's another thing that's related to signature / vacation mode. Okay, so in Google, they have a thing called Labs, right? Who doesn't know about Google Labs in your Gmail? Okay, so that's a thing that we want to get configured because they have a lot of little features that you can enable or disable that lets you use Gmail in a professional way. And the reason they put them over here and it's not automatic is why? What do you think?
Everybody doesn't use it.
Yeah, because if you just want to use Gmail as a regular person, like a personal account, you don't need this stuff because this stuff is for mainly for productivity. It makes you more productive. So we're going to go into Labs and we're going to turn that on, except it's the end of the day. So we'll do that tomorrow.
Director,
Yeah.
when you're talking about labs, are you talking about like the dictionary, the different apps that
Yeah,
come with
some
Google?
more experimental. There's a tab for it in settings.
Okay, so in Gmail, in Settings, Gmail, there's the wheel, right?
Mhm.
In the wheel, you push on Settings, a bar comes up across the top of the page. And so how do we get to Gmail? We go to the 9-square grid, we go to Gmail.
Oh, there it is.
And labs are add-ons still, or they're just experimental.
So watch what I'm doing. You click on the wheel,
Couple of their says labs.
you go to settings,
Yeah.
and right here, in this blue kind of content thing, this is labs.
Are those
And there's a whole bunch of little things.
They're extensions of,
Many of them started out
they're
as
experimental.
experimental. That's why it's called lab. But most of these have been on here for a long, long, long time. And I think a better way to think about it is if you want to use Gmail as a professional, these are little things to turn on to make it that way.
Oh, yeah.
But we don't want to use all of them. So don't just go through and say enable, 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 because your experience will be even worse than if you just leave them the way they are. Okay, because some of them are pretty tricky. But we'll do that tomorrow, so we'll end right there. Thank you, everyone, and
So long and didn't.
Okay, Ed.
thanks, Dennis.
Okay, and before we get into labs tomorrow, can we talk about picture as a feature?
Talk about what?
Picture as a feature.
Picture as a feature.
Yeah. In your email, Gmail.
Oh, okay. You want to do that for 1 minute before we leave? Or do you want to break?
I would say we could do it tomorrow.
Okay.
Tomorrow before lab.
All right. So let's remind, we'll start with that. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.